Button. Does it say it's live on your end?
Now we are live. Yes, we are live, folks. We are live.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the part that confuses me. I apologize. So we're live now. Welcome everyone to another Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm Greta Russo, and of course, this other fine lady is Dr. Nelva Bryant. Dr. Bryant, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi there, everyone. For those, well, I'll introduce myself to those who don't know me and reintroduce to others that do know me. My name is Dr. Nelva Bryant. I am a veterinarian, and I am working in the airline industry. I actually work on staff with Delta Airlines, and I've kind of been brought on to review and revise policies for animal transportation. One thing I say as far as animal transportation, it could be any type of animal. Just realize the airline is not UPS. There are standards that must be met to transport animals. And I guess a lot of things that I do, I'm trying to share that information with the general public and also my fellow veterinarians in reference to that. I have started When Pets Fly during the pandemic to share information again on preparing pets for air travel. It's been a little bit over a year that I've been working with Greta, and Greta has helped introduce our Facebook Lives. So we've been doing those to kind of introduce everyone to the interesting and dynamic people I've met over these past few years that have that are, in my mind, stakeholders with animal transportation. These past couple of Facebook Lives we've been doing have kind of had a focus on service animals. So today I'm adding that in there again today. A great gentleman that I want to introduce, and we'll discuss further, but introducing more information regarding service animals, knowing the difference, the training behind it, and other key things with it. So that's me. That's what I'm about. I am very passionate about animal transportation and preparing animals for air travel. So that's what I'm about. That's what these Facebook Lives are about. So that's who I am.
Well, as you mentioned, this has been a fantastic month with your Facebook Lives. Last week, we had Dr. Risa Houston with us from Assistant Animals Consulting.
Yes.
And, I thought that was just an amazing conversation, and one that lots and lots of people should watch because, whether you want a dog or an emotional support animal. And then we learned there were so many other animals that provide assistance. Dr. Houston, her company is your advocate in getting whatever type of assistance you need. So she helps you and holds your hand in number one, determining which type of animal you need and teaching you the difference, helping you getting the prescription that you need for all of these assistant animals, and then walking you through deciding what breed and temperament, and matching you with the animal you are going to be working with, and then continuing on and making sure that she's your advocate and assisting you in the process. And then I believe afterwards, once you have that, whatever animal you're working with, she also works with you on that back end. So, if anyone is interested or even has a service dog, or is interested or even has an emotional support animal, I really highly recommend you reach out to Dr. Houston at the Assistance Animal Consulting. She does all of her work virtually, so she can work with anyone across the country. And, if you needed an advocate, she's the one to reach out to.
Yeah.
So
one of the coolest things I learned from her last week is the fact that it's the need for, say, a service animal, or even if it is an emotional support animal, is prescribed by a medical professional. So a lot of these folks that pop up and say, yeah, I've got a service animal, but it's not, or even emotional support, if it's not prescribed, it's not truly a valid animal, and everything in that place. So I thought was very interesting. Also, again, as you mentioned, all the different types of service animals that are available.
yeah.
Dogs are amazing as far as their training abilities, just things that they can do. Again, for people with service animals. Side note, I learned this week that I was watching this video about wildlife trafficking and in Africa, and I forget which country in Africa, but they were saying they were training dogs to sniff out wildlife contraband,
Mhm.
ivory, Pagolian scales. I mean, they said rhinos' tusks are being big too. These dogs smell this out, and I'm just blown away. They could do that. I know during the pandemic, and I don't know if that's progressed any further. They were using dogs to sniff out COVID, supposedly. So I just say that to say dogs are amazing. I love them. I know you're a cat person, but I love dogs. I think they're amazing, and their training ability is just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love all animals. I just happen
Oh,
to
you know,
be
you're
I
just a,
just happen to be an old lady with 1,000 cats.
oh,
So,
yeah,
um, but and also to touch on a point that you brought up, and we mentioned it before, Delta Airlines has just become another partner with Prince William's program that is also helping to fight
yes,
animal trafficking.
yeah,
And I love that about the Delta Airlines and how they are getting involved.
yeah. Thanks
So
to the hard work of my coworker Juan Deverez, yes, he petitioned and applied for United for Wildlife, and we are, as far as U.S., one of the first U.S. carriers to have it. So that's really, really good. It's a big deal, definitely a big deal.
yes. And also, when you were talking about service dogs and how getting a prescription kind of validates your service dog as well as your emotional support dog, I just wanted to remind all of the people who watch your show that not too far back we had Sheila from the AKC on our show who was introducing the service dog pass,
Right.
which is just like the TSA that we used to get on planes and everything. And that's a wonderful program that people who have service dogs should look into. It protects their confidential information and all of their ADA information so it's not exposed. You don't have to carry around all these papers. It makes the checking in process a lot smoother and easier for you. So that's another thing that our watchers should go and check out is the service dog pass, and that information is on our on the When Pets Fly website as well, and you can find When Pets Fly at www.whenpets.com.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And if I remember correctly, too, these service dog passes, they lasted like a 2-year period on it, as far as it lasts for 2 years.
Yes.
And it's just like maybe $20 a month. So it's a nonprofit underneath AKC. So they're not in it for profit to how we have these other sites on the website where I say $99 and I can get you all the information, that's not what this is. This is actually a true valid system. They check the validity of that service animal if they've had proper training. Could be proper training through an organization, or sometimes service animals, as Dr. Houston had mentioned last week, sometimes dogs are trained individually, but they still have to be trained for that person's disability and everything. So, but yeah, great service. So folks, I would say if you have the opportunity, watch the videos because you can learn a lot. To be honest with you, I watched them after the fact and I'm like, wow, that was good. So there's valuable information being shared here. So I would take advantage of it. Go back and listen because you'll learn a lot.
Absolutely. And to your point, everyone, you can either find the videos on our Facebook page, or to make it easier for yourself, go to the website, which is whenpets.com. Go to the Dr. Nelva Bryant Speaks tab, and then go all the way to the bottom, and that's where the library of videos are. And you'll be able to see all the videos that we're talking about and the people that we're mentioning here.
Yeah, definite. All right.
Well,
I think we're good. We have some good things coming up for today. Like I said, I'm very excited to have Blake Rashad, Top Dog, with us today. I met him through actually the same seminar I had at Delta. Let's see, I mentioned beforehand, we have the Animal Advisory Board we invited Dr. Houston and also Blake Rashad to come on and share information about service animals. Both of them did very well, but I'll be honest with, they really loved the presentation that Blake gave. Very passionate, very energetic, and just he has just a way of really impacting the folks as far as and everything. So to be honest with you folks, you're in for a treat today to learn more about Top Dog, what he does for veterans. So I'm glad to have him here today.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring Blake in and introduce him to everyone. Let's see. You know, it takes my system a minute, but here we go.
We're good. Welcome.
And there he is.
Wait.
Hi, Blake.
This cheap
bow wow, everyone.
Right.
Bow wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's my little applause sheet. There we go. We're
Yes.
happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me on.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Absolutely. Let me read Blake's introduction, his bio, and then so we can tell everyone a little bit about him, and then we can start the discussion. So Top Dog, which is Blake Rashad himself, has gracefully served the pet industry for over 40 years. He has dedicated his life to educating people on dog education, dog behavior, obedience training, and training service dogs for his fellow veterans. Some of his accomplishments are sinologist, the study of all things. I'm sorry?
Sinologist?
Yes, thank you. The study of all things dogs. Wow. U.S. Army Canine Trainer, City of Atlanta Canine Trainer, Canine Behaviorist, Superior Court Expert Witness on Dog Behavior, and an author of 2 children's books. They are A Kid's Guide to Dog Ownership and A Kid's Guide to Trick Training Your Dog. Everyone, please help us welcome Blake Rashad, Top Dog himself.
Very good. Man, you've done something for 40 years. 40 years. That's outstanding. You must really, really, really love them. Tell me the beginning. Were you one of those people that as a child you had a bunch of dogs, or tell me where it started? Where was your beginning? Where did your love of dogs start?
You know, it started off, it's amazing that I'm here today because it started off with a kid with mental and psychological issues that stuttered, that didn't have any friends, that moved a lot, that couldn't get a grip on himself, who found solace in dogs, and then would go months at a time, wouldn't even speak. They thought something was wrong with it, wouldn't even speak. So until my sister found that I would be under the house or under the bed reading to a dog, but I wouldn't talk to humans, but I would talk to a dog. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I got, around 9 or 10 that I started opening up to other humans. So I can honestly say that dogs saved my life at an early age. And then I don't know how to explain it when people ask, what does suicide look like in a kid at 6 or 7? How it looked for me, because I didn't know what it was. But I had anxiety about riding on the highway because, back then you didn't have child safety locks on cars. Mm-hmm. Right? I used to always think about jumping out of the car while we on the highway. Or if I was on anything that's high, I always thought about jumping off to see what else was there. I just felt like I was out of place. And as I became an adult and I think back to it, those were suicidal thoughts. I just didn't know it at the time. Mm-hmm. So I trained I went in the military, I policed for 10 years after I came out of the military. And then my mental health started getting worse. And back again, I started regressing back towards dogs or more into dogs personally, not just business wise. And then I trained my first service dog in around 2010. And then I said, you know what? Because I was in a really dark place then. I think that was my first suicidal attempt. It was in 2009 or so. So So I said, if I can do this for me, then I can do it for one other. I didn't think about what I'm doing now, up to almost 400 veterans I've served. But then I'll say, if I can save one more, and through other veterans, start reaching out to veterans that people that my fellow battle buddies knew that was having problems, and I just started training one dog that first year, 3 dogs that second year, and it just went on and on and on to I'm here today.
Well, it's amazing. It goes to show you how if the dog had pulled you out of where you are, and that's been your focus, I think that's an amazing thing there, that dogs have that ability for you and everything. So that to be able to help you, help others, basically help yourself and help others. I think that's really the passion and goal for life and everything. And it's amazing that it's a dog that has done that, so it's amazing.
I don't think a lot of people, you mentioned it earlier, a lot of people understand what dogs can do for people. A lot of people don't even understand what, other than a CNI dog or a diabetic dog, most people don't know what a service dog can perform and the duties that it perform, how it serves a human being. One thing you mentioned that was very true, that you have to be diagnosed with a disability, mental or physical, to legally have a service dog. Yeah, I know you can go online and order the stuff and put it on your dog and put that card in your pocket or around your neck and start walking around. Go to Chili's. I'm going headed to Chili's.
Right. Right.
But those dogs are putting us at in harm's way, because those dogs are biting other dogs and biting people, and causing Delta to say, causing airlines to say, "Oh my God, what am I dealing with here?"
Right. Well, that is the main reason. One of the main reasons with all the complaints with the emotional support dogs, service dogs, that issue, which one is correct, which one should be on the airline or allowed in the aircraft. That's why they made that ruling to prevent the emotional support dogs, because they realized they actually interfered with the work for the true service dogs that were needed. And I'm very happy they made that ruling, where now emotional support dogs, that is your personal pet. If they can fit in a carrier and you're, comfortably, they can go in, your carrier in front of your seat, fine. If not, they have to go be transported by cargo, and that's it. And now we can focus on the true service dogs, that individuals will need, to function, basically. So it supports that service dog and owner unit and everything. So I'm happy about that change, to be honest with you.
You remember that meeting you invited me to? I spoke at. I don't know if you guys had already decided to. I knew we had a big conversation about emotional support dogs, and I mentioned to Delta in that meeting in front of some of those very important people that I think your liability to do high. I think you shouldn't do emotional support dogs on it. I think it's like old school. Like if you can't fly without a dog, without a emotional support animal, then catch the train or catch. I think it's too much liability for an airline.
Right.
A bus can pull over, but an airline can't.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, you can stop midstream and say, "Hey, that's it." No, you have to keep going forward. I definitely agree. But no, right at like I said, right in the middle of the pandemic, that's when they put the ruling out, and I was very happy with that news. I'm sure there's probably a community that are very upset about it, feeling that emotional should be allowed, but there's a reason behind it, and we need to protect the true service dogs and their, the ability to help their person and everything. Yeah. So I'm very happy with that. Definitely happy. So tell me more about, how you developed, what gave you the idea to make Top Dog. And I mean, you shared your thing growing up, and I think it's amazing, and I'm happy that you pulled through. And trust me, we all have challenges in life. And I say to my son sometimes, it's up and down. It's almost like a roller coaster. Sometimes you go up and you're great, and then you get to your low. But I think that's a part of life. But I'm happy to see that you pulled through and you started your foundation. So tell us more about that, please.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And you're doing all that, and in the process of every decade reinventing yourself. We should be with different people every 10 years. We shouldn't be the same person that we was 10 years ago.
If you look in the mirror, and it was the same spot where you were, you weren't doing anything that year. We got to change. Yeah. Got to change.
Say, I wish I was 20 again. No, I wasn't a nice person at 20. I had a lot to learn at 20. I don't want to repeat that. But yeah, we're here, and so many of us are just trying to find our way just as a normal human being. Now let's tack on a mental disability. Let's tack on sexual assault. Let's tack on crimes of war. Let's tack on actual rape. Let's tack on almost being dismantled or killed in war, and dealing with those issues, those night terrors and those road rages and those medical issues and pain, and trying to navigate life through everything else that everybody else doing. And now my battle women can't be by themselves in a room with another male without someone being in because of what they experienced, and they have to deal with that. And then, or they can't grocery shop when during the times most people grocery shop, like after work or something like that. So they have to go late night hours or early in the morning, and then having a dog that can warn them when someone's coming up behind them, or a dog that can lead them away or block. Because here in the South, males get entirely too close. They don't do that in New York. They got 3-4 feet distance. You don't.
Yeah, I'm New York. You would not do that.
Yeah. You too. They'll call you. Back off. Yes. Here in the South, we're touchy feely. We hug strange women. We stand within a foot of you. And then there's I love COVID, the distant part. And for someone that's experiencing severe sexual assault or rape, they don't want this strange male contact or closeness. And that dog can provide that while they're out in public. They can provide that distance they need, or the warnings they need to allow them to leave the store, leave the area, or get in their car and leave or go home. And for instance, I've been dealing with a lot of road rage with veterans. So now they do a contract with me. It's like when their dog alert them, they will pull over for exactly 120 seconds. And they and for a couple of reasons, it gets them time to calm down, and it gives 2 minutes for the other person to get away from them that they're mad of. So the dog will hop the seat and lick them on the back of the neck to warn them that their pheromones are kicking out. The dog can smell it, or their vibrations, their heart rate is up because they're raging. And the dog can also feel that vibration, and they can hear that heartbeat, and they start licking the back of the neck. They pull over, and it gives them an opportunity to calm down and regroup. Because when they don't, bad things happen. We need those extra moments. So those are just a few things. We can get into many others of what these service dogs can do. They change lives and they save lives.
Why did you start your foundation?
I started when I was mentioned that a service dog saved my life and got me out of a dark place in a dark room and said, you're alienating your family, you're drinking too much, you're doing all the things that signals that you're not trying to be here anymore. You're doing reckless behavior. You're choosing doing reckless things. All of that leads to that depression. Depression looks all kinds of ways. It's not just covers over your head. Depression is doing 120 miles on a motorcycle because you don't care anymore. I've had some colleagues lost their life. The very thing, they want to die by motorcycle. Confronting in a reckless manner, confronting the law enforcement, death by a police officer. You've heard about veterans doing that, getting naked or getting in the middle of the street and challenging police officers with a stick or a small knife. That's a form of suicide. So, and when I realized that, once I started doing my research, and I've trained so many different dogs, this transition was not difficult for me. And when I realized what my dog did for me, then I started looking at all the issues that veterans were having. And then I start choosing dogs that can serve and handle those specific issues. And then I started contacting these like Wounded Warriors and these other Warrior Lions and all these different organizations said, I'm here. Send me your vets. And then, believe it or not, 80% of every vet that we help is sent by the VA. And they do not fund us. They do not fund us, believe it or not one dime.
Wow. Amazing.
Well, your organization, Top Dog Canine Foundation, that's located here in Atlanta, correct?
Yes, we're in Lilburn, right outside of Stone Mountain.
Okay. And what type of training does your foundation provide?
Well, of course, we provide all the training for service dogs for disabled veterans, noted or diagnosed PTSD, sexual assault, or mobility, or things of that nature, anxiety, things of that. And we also train for the public. We train that to supplement our donations so that we can continue to serve our veterans. So we do train obedience for the public, and we trained if you want a certified trained emotional support dog for the public, we will train that, but the public have to pay for those dogs. The veterans pay $0 to get their service dogs. And these service dogs can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $22,000.
Yeah,
and they pay zero of that. But the public pays for their obedience training, and they pay for their emotional support dogs.
amazing.
Okay. Wow. What is the difference between a service dog and an emotional support dog, and which do you provide?
The easiest, the uncomplicated answer to that is a service dog serves. Okay. Emotional support dog has no task but to just be a friendly dog. But the person, the emotional support animal, the person feels better with the animal present. It's no different than a little girl or a little boy with a teddy bear. They want to fly with a teddy bear. They want to go to the hotel with a teddy bear. They want to go to the soccer game with a teddy bear or a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, remember Linus? Was that Linus?
Blanket? Yeah.
Same thing. A service dog is not there to make you feel better. It's there to notice that something's different or wrong with you, and it reacts in a certain way to bring you out of that, or to prevent something. Prevent a seizure, prevent a diabetic attack, prevent a fall, prevent dropping of the feeling of depression, to bring you out of it, to slow down anxiety, which leads into depression, to turn on lights or to wake you up out a night terror of you being in combat. All right, to take you out of distant stares or blackouts that you may have from sexual assault. So they do something. They don't say, well, I'm just going to lay next to you till you get over what you're going through.
Right.
That's an emotion.
Wow. Amazing. Like I said, just learning from Dr. Houston, and now you're just sharing even more of that. Again, dogs are amazing at what their abilities that they do for us. And I'm blown away when you hear people that say they don't like dogs or something, or they don't think of them, because I know I feel highly of them, and we all do here too, but to hear all the different things, purposes they could be trained to assist a person, and forget assist, to serve that person, I think is amazing. Amazing.
You know that they are illegally, and this is good information for Delta. If someone has a service dog, that dog should perform 2 acts. Mm-hmm. 2 acts of service for that veteran, whether that is blocking for confrontation, or whether it is waking me up during a night terror, whether that is turning on the lights or open doors, or fetching medicine or fetching a remote. 2 service dog acts to be a legitimate service dog. Our dogs receive 400 to 600 hours of training before they're released.
You know, an interesting thing that I know, when the service dog ruling occurred with DOT, they're allowing the person to have 2 service dogs, which in my mind, I really don't So in a sense, they're saying, say if you needed a diabetic dog, and then you also needed someone for, I don't know, a CNI dog. So they're allowing the person to have 2 service dogs. But my thought is, why isn't there an ability to train that dog to do those 2 services? Or
I don't issue two service dogs. I've had situations where I had 2 service dogs in the home with 2 different people, with 2 different veterans, and that's complex.
Yeah.
Because you have the issue of dogs bonding with each other and stop serving because they get closer to each other than they are with the humans. But one thing is, I will say, what you mentioned is probably one case that I probably would agree you can have 2 service dogs, which is very complex, is CNI and then diabetic, But it is possible for that dog to do all of that, but it is very difficult to find a dog that can do all of that. It may make a perfect CNI dog, but it's consistently, because it has to be a consistent dog to detect your low and high levels. Like I used to train bomb and drug dogs. I was over for a while. I did contract work where I was over readiness, and what that means is I would come on your base, and then I would test your dogs. And when I'm done, I would either lose some dogs or lose some personnel, or you'll get a perfect rating. Well, bomb dogs had to perform at 98%. Drug dogs had to perform at 95%. Okay, that's accuracy, right? You would want your bomb dog to perform consistently at 98% or better. Bomb dog, yes. Drug dog, if you miss something every now and then, nobody dies.
Right.
So but 95% is pretty good. It's court ready. The court can say I can use the information found about this dog because it is 90%, 95% accurate. That's based on court cases. So they say, so that's why your dogs have to have at a certain level. And these are the things that makes the difference. And these are the things where it bothers veterans. It bothers veterans, bothers me, bothers you when people have fake service dogs out there. All the work we put in.
Right. Yeah.
Blake, let me ask you this. Let's say I have just received a trained service dog from you. Does your company continue with, I don't know, lessons between me and my dog after we purchase it? Is there like, once I buy it from you, I'm off on my merry way? Tell me about your program. So I know you train the dogs. Well, now that I'm getting, tell me walk me through the process.
Okay, so first, small corrections. You wouldn't buy a service dog from it. If you're a veteran, you will receive that dog will be gifted to you. Okay. If you are not a veteran and you need a service dog, don't get me wrong, we train service dogs for civilians too that suffers from sexual assault, disability, mobility, whatever. But they can receive their funds through local electric companies like EMC, Georgia Power. Those companies, when they receive money, they get overages. And they can't legally use that money. When somebody pay over it, they don't give that money back, and it goes into a fund, and then they grant that money out every year because they can't use money that they didn't earn. So like Gwinnett County, like Jackson Electric or EMC, they will have X amount of dollars, and then they will meet every 30 days, and then they will call me and say, I need a service dog. I'm a fall risk. I said, okay, well, that's going to cost you this. And I said, apply for a grant at EMC. And then I say, send them this. And the EMC would look it over, then call me and ask me a bunch of questions. And they would say, okay, I'll pay for them a service dog. Okay, so those are the 2 ways you can receive a service dog. Those are the only occasions where somebody would pay for a service dog. They usually don't do it out of pocket. Most people don't have an extra $15,000 to $20,000 out of pocket. Yeah. So now after you go through training, there's a 6 to 8 weeks and as much as 12 weeks training that you go through. I shorten that up if someone that lives out of the state. I got a crash course, but that you go through to teach you ADA law and teach you how to treat your service dog, and also it makes you understand that it can't be a service dog if you're not responsible for that service dog. You have to feed that service dog. You have to groom that service dog. You have to put hands on it. You have to do it. If someone else is doing that, that dog will release the bond with you and bond with that person. You can't have someone else taking care of you. The only people, that's why you might see people, sight prohibited people, and their service dog looks in bad shape because they really can't take care of their service dog. You have someone that comes in and do it. But those dogs, I've trained CNI dogs. Those dogs train for almost 2 years. Those dogs do not come off target. They grow old and have to stop doing it. But and they usually don't deal with a lot of other people. They just that person. But all these other dogs, the more they're touched, the more they're caressed, the more they're dealt with by another family member, they will stop serving the veteran because you're not spending enough time with it. And they'll start trying to serve the daughter or the wife or the cousin. You know, so people have to understand when you got a service dog. I look at you and I said, this is your responsibility. You know, whether it's which spouse it is, the male or the female, it's not this is not more work for your spouse. This is your responsibility. You have to get up in the morning and take your dog out. Well, I have a mobility problem. I said, now here's the other thing. They have to sign a form with me that gives me the right to speak to their psychiatrist, the therapist, or their medical doctor. They sign a release form so I can communicate with them because veterans won't give me the whole truth, right? So they say, well, I can't get up and take the dog out because I have this problem. I said, I spoke to your doctor. You can walk. And he told me he wants you out of that wheelchair sometimes. So that time you can walk to your backyard. Your backyard is a flat level. You can take your dog out. And they don't know, you know, and they may not know that I talked to their medical doctor until I tell them something like that.
Right.
But that's the whole point of a service dog is to get them out and try to bring some type of normalcy back to their life.
Right. I remember talking with last week with Dr. Houston. She was saying that there's points in time where certain dogs, service dogs that are trained, might need retraining, or sometimes they might be a point where they have to be retired too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. We've been doing this since 2011. Service dogs are passing away or retiring, and I'm retraining. I'm not retraining. I'm providing some veterans with their second service dogs. Mm-hmm. Now, the objective, it is perfectly fine for a veteran, and I love when it happens when a veteran service dog will go into pet mode because the veteran doesn't need the dog anymore. Mm-hmm. Their anxiety gets better. Their PTSD gets better. They have it at home. It's available. The dog still works for them at home, but they don't take it out every day. That happens too. Other times, their conditions get worse or stays the same, and they need an additional service dog, and then they retire the older one, and it just stays at home as a wonderful pet. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, service dogs don't transfer well. These dogs do so much specific work, and they're so bonded with the veteran. Sometimes they get depressed, and they won't work for another person. Mm-hmm. So they don't. So we try not to take them from, like if I just had a veteran to pass away, natural causes. But so the wife called me, and the family was upset, thinking they have to give the service dog back, and I let them retain their service dog because the dog was happy there, and the family was happy with the dog. So that's the best place for the service dog.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. Amazing. Sorry. Next question. Sorry.
Okay. Let's see. So I'll bring up the next question. Do you have any trained dogs available now?
Yes. I have some standard poodles. I have so many doodles. I got some golden retrievers, and yes, I got so a lot of dogs. We get a lot of dogs donated to us from breeders and different families, and one thing we didn't mention earlier, there are a lot of breeds that don't work. Y'all know all dogs can't be service dogs. All breeds.
Yeah, that is like, I remember you telling me that before, and I always thought it was like, what are your thoughts on that? You're right.
Yeah. I mean,
because you say a Chihuahua and you need something for mobility. You're not gonna go to a Chihuahua.
yeah. You know, I have a Chiweenie, one Chiweenie, and it took me and then the only reason I agreed to train this dog, because it took me almost 2 years to train this dog, is because her first service dog that we was halfway through training, 2 pit bulls ate it up. I mean, literally tore it apart while she took it out one night about 8 o'clock.
Mm.
She lived in an apartment complex, and two pit bulls ate her dog up.
Oh
And I thought we was going to lose her. And so when she found another dog, it was a Chiweenie, and it was aggressive. And I had a heart to tell her I had to work all my magic to make the dog a service dog. But it's doing good out there, you know. But yes, certain breeds. When the last time you seen a Basset service dog?
Never.
They're just not built for the work. Like pugs. Where are you going to take it in August?
Better be air conditioned somewhere.
You know, it's or a crested that a Chinese crested.
Right.
You're gonna put suntan lotion in it and take it every.
Yeah.
You know, some of your Molossas, your Masters. You know, some of these dogs get 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, you get on Southwest with a 200-pound dog.
Yeah.
You're gonna need 3 seats. You know, so yeah, I'm not saying Rottweilers and some of the German Shepherds can't be good service dogs, but they're so protective, and you know, Great Danes can make good service dogs. I've seen a few out there, but they only live about 8 years.
Yes, true. That's true.
And you don't start training until about 3. You know, so you only go get a few years out of that dog. So it's just like beagles and certain dogs. Bird dogs, their eyes are always in the bushes and in the trees. They could care less about you.
Right.
What
is there? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me just one quick question. Is there a personality of that dog that will make him more trainable to be a service dog? Like, I mean, well, if you think about it, a lot of the military or police dogs, they're very dominant dogs, yes, and everything. So is there a personality of a service dog that's more amenable to be trained?
Absolutely. You want to look for dogs that are not dominant and they have a little bit of independence and a good balance of codependency and independency. And you want to look for dogs that want to serve. And you can see it. You got some dogs that you land in the living room, they spend the whole day in the living room looking at you like, what are we going to do? You know, we good? You want to go for a walk? Whatever you want to do. We can chill. We can walk. You know, that's a dog that wants to serve. It's not thinking about what's going on outside. Then you got another dog who's in the window constantly barking at everything that goes down the street.
Right.
You could fall over off the couch. It'll look back and like, you need to get up, and it'll start barking again. Right? That dog that doesn't want to serve.
Right.
It wants to chase, and the prey drive is too high.
Right.
You know, the wanting to chase birds or chase rodents, like some of these Yorkies and these other breeds, these Jack Russell Terriers. No, too energetic to serve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't trained any for service dog, but I've seen my lifetime, seen a couple of boxers. Another dog that they just too high strung, you know, to serve, and they can be protective. You're a veterinarian, you know, certain when somebody say they bring in a particular breed, you're like,
oh yeah, trust me. You start thinking about the breed, and you're like,
okay.
Look,
I'm probably kick on the pit bull, but there's so many other dogs. There's a lot of dogs that bite more than pit bull. They just don't kill.
Well, dog that just gets me every time, and I don't trust, is a Chow Chow.
Yes.
Chow Chow in there, and I just look at him like, no, this dog is not going to warn me. He's just going to bite. So let's just take the precautions now, because he's not going to warn me. He's going to bite me.
And there's 3 other dogs that come from the same region that you feel the same way about.
Yes.
And that's a Sharpei, Shibinu, Akitas.
Yep, all of those.
These dogs all got that. They're single terrier dogs. They like one person. Oh, and another one that's not from that region, Dalmatians. Oh, Dalmatians. Oh, they would get you.
Dalmatians. I you know what? Someone told me there's something about Dalmatians. The fact that, you know, they're the fire department always had Dalmatians. They're saying they think they're deaf or something. Deafness is common in them, because if you think about it, with the sirens, how can you just sit there and be okay with that? You must have some form of deafness. But
Yeah.
I don't trust Dalmatians either. I think they were overbred with 101 Dalmatians when that movies came out.
Yes.
And I almost got attacked by a Dalmatian in practice. So that's another breed that's,
America tried to adopt that dog as America's dog, and they realized that the dog is not a good family dog, and it doesn't like kids, and it's got a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
And they quickly adopted the golden retriever as America's dog, which is a pretty sound dog.
Definitely.
What dogs do you recommend to be service dogs?
Good question.
Poodles, not miniatures, standard poodles, doodles, Labradors, golden retrievers, some older passive shepherds if I need something for balance, mixtures of breeds, things like that. A lot of times my 3 to 4 year old giant schnauzers, but they have to be older. Their drive is too high when they're 1 and 2 years old, much too high. And it has to be a low drive. It can't be a high drive dog. That's more for police work or protection. It should be a low drive dog.
Okay, so when you say shepherds, you're talking about German shepherds?
German shepherd, yes. No mouths.
No Malinois? Yeah, those are. Yeah,
that drive is way too high.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand that we train our dogs. They can't, when they're in public, they can't bark and they can't whine. You have to train them out of that. You also have to train them that in public, they can't clean themselves. You really think ladies, we're having lunch in Ruth Chris talking about dogs, and my giant schnauzer is just sitting there. How pleasant is that meal going to be with him just cleaning himself up in the restaurant? Yeah. You can't have that. You train them. I'm not saying they won't clean themselves, but they can't do it in public. And they can't whine and they can't bark. That's one thing. There are situations where you can ask a person with a legitimate service dog to leave your establishment, or you can deny service.
Yeah.
Under certain conditions.
I think we talked about that offline a little bit, but that's a taboo area, and everyone is afraid because, again, you don't want to deny someone their rights. And again, this taps into folks that are using, say, the service dog fraudulently. But tell me the methods or the questions or the situations where a person with a true service dog can be like, oh, please explain that.
So if I was I always like to talk in layman's terms when I'm talking to people like Delta board members or a panel like that. I said, the thing is documentation. You want camera documentation, and then you want to always warn the person. You want to always have it, not even a warning. You don't ever want to start off with a warning. You want to start off with a conversation, ma'am. And you don't want to go to a veteran and say what other people said. You want to put the responsibility on the person that's talking to the person so they can deal with you directly. Otherwise, they're going to want to talk to the other people. Put it on you. Ma'am, I noticed that your service dog is barking at everybody that walks by. As you know, barking in public in a building is not a task for a service dog. It's not allowed. It's disturbing people. Well, what people? Well, I'm sure it's disturbing them, but it's disturbing me. I notice it. I mean, you're being recorded, and if you're doing this in on the Concorde, what are you going to do on the plane? So I'm asking you, is there any way you can calm your dog down, or do you need to walk your dog, or should you get on this plane? Is your dog aggressive? All right. And then you can train people how to approach and stand in a way to see if dog's aggressive without making contact with that dog, because you're protecting your airline and the people that's a part of the airline. So this is a situation where with proper training, then if a legal matter comes up, you can say, these are the methods I took to come to this conclusion, as opposed to that don't look like a service dog. What does that mean? Right. But if I got a chart that I can check off and give it to my supervisor to say why I think this is not a service dog, so somebody can make a decision before it gets on that plane. What if the dog's got a UTI? It's a service dog, but it's wetting itself every 5 minutes. And as taxpayers or as Delta, we're supposed to deal with that.
They're not supposed to eliminate themselves. That's supposed to be under control. They signed a document for that, saying that the animals won't do that. So if it is, that will be a grounds for saying no.
I've been in the airport and I saw a lady with I forgot what dog it was, mixed breed, but it was in heat.
Ooh, okay.
She was flying with a dog in heat.
Okay.
Did everything I could, because one thing is, in a now situation, it's probably nothing I can do about it. It was probably nobody with the power that I could tell right now, Delta, that dog's in heat, don't let it on your plane. That wouldn't have happened. Nobody would have made that decision on the spot. That would have to be talked about before.
But see, you know what? That's something they don't even consider, because they don't consider that. I mean, when they say eliminate, that's not in that category. Being heat, that's not even considered, to be honest with you. They didn't even consider that as far as the criteria. Never thought about it.
I never thought about it. Passive aggression. Small dogs are notorious for it. You can see it in the whites of their eyes. They're like, I'll call them, they're like baby lobsters or crawfish. They just back into the owner's arm, waiting to strike. And they have a distance factor. If you come within 24 inches of them or 12 inches of them, they will strike. So, and that could be a service dog that's sitting in her lap and you got to hand her coffee.
Yep. That has happened in the past. That has happened. Hey, on the subject though, remember I had also mentioned, I think it would be great. I just think I really feel strong that in the airline industry in general, could be flight attendants, could be gate agents, everyone needs to have some etiquette towards treating, the person with service animal. I just think it's really a big need, training for that. I bet that's something you could do, to be honest with you, Blake.
Yes. I would love for you to assist me to navigate because all lawsuits begin in the initial approach. That first 30 seconds dictate whether or not this is going to be a lawsuit or not. You walk up in this arrogance, or you walk up as a know-it-all, or you walk up and you attack a veteran, they're going to defend. I guarantee you that. And they're definitely going to defend themselves. And so how you walk up can de-escalate the situation. You should not always come in hot. You should just come in no, out, no, T'Challa.
Doctor.
Sorry.
Doctor. It's okay.
So, and then when they walk up and they introduce themselves and tell them who they are, and then start off by just having a conversation to see where the head is of the veteran before you start discussing the dog. And then you can acknowledge that they have a service dog, and then you can start talking about once both of you acknowledge that it is a service dog, then you can have a conversation of what a service dog can and cannot do. If you start off, that ain't no service dog. Well, it could be a service dog. It could just be a poorly trained one, or it could be one that's got issues. A dog in heat could be acting different. A dog with a UTI can definitely act differently.
Right, they will.
It could be injured, or it could be not well. Right now our laws are so vague. You can train your own service dog. That part I disagree with.
Yeah,
you still got to have a legitimate disability, but you can train your own service dog.
Right. Yeah, I think ultimately, it would be nice if there was I guess because there's so many different types of service dogs as far as their uses, the services that they provide, it's hard to standardize it across the board. But I wish there was some regulatory body that can just say, that where maybe there's certain criteria to meet, and then yes, we've regulated the fact that yes, this is a true service dog, or they've gotten the required training, and go from there. I just really wish that there was a way to control that process. Then you'll do away with the false ones and the fraud.
What I am seeing is people are purchasing therapy dogs and using them as service dogs.
But I thought therapy dogs is for the group, not just for that one individual.
It is. But since it does so well in public, it's a cheaper way. Now, it doesn't perform any task. It's not a service dog, but it's not aggressive, and it's used to crowds of people, and it transfers easily. It looks like a service dog. It just doesn't provide any task. Nice. So going to get your dog therapy dog trained could be as little as $3,500. Wow. And then but as opposed to a $20,000 service dog.
So we got it's a trained. You could say it's right in between being an emotional support because it's used to a group, but it's for that one. Wow, that's interesting. People will find loopholes to get around the system. Basically, that's what it turns into every single time. They find a loophole.
Absolutely. So, and that's okay. That's just how our system is. We just got to have the experts in place. I like being proactive than reactive.
Yes.
And just like you're saying, getting to Delta and saying, how do we do this? How do we teach this? And to be ready for this. And then, because if you reduce your liabilities tremendously, and you keep and at the end, that small cost of having that person travel and teach is minute to those $1 million lawsuits from this, because this is what you get. Your gatekeepers, your TSA, your gatekeepers, your person that I'm a cat person, I don't like dogs. And though they come at your veterans hard, that's not a service dog because it's a certain breed. What? I mean, just because we don't train certain breeds of service dog, I don't mean somebody else doesn't.
Right.
A lot of times, pit bulls can't be service dog. That's not true. I've seen a lot of them. But some people I got bit by a pit bull when I was 9, so I know that's not a service dog. That's not a legal conversation, and that gets Delta sued, or that gets whoever. Walmart sued because that gatekeeper has a personal feeling about a breed of dog or dogs.
Right.
I do. Our clients, our veterans do get that problem from people that love cats that don't like dogs. They do not like the idea, because you don't have a service cat. They don't like the idea of dogs being able to enter the world of humans.
Right. Well, cats are. I love you, Greta. The cats are a little bit different. I did have 2 cats scattered along, and they're just not the same. They just don't respond the same,
Well, you don't own cats. Cats own you. That's my logic.
That's what Yeah, definitely. Dang it! Look at it. As I told you beforehand, we're cutting down the time already. We have 2 minutes. You got any other questions, Greta?
No, but I know I wanted to let Blake talk about his books that I mentioned earlier.
Yes. I have a series. About 8 of them. I just sent you 2 of them, and they all related. They all be related to mental health or kids, or just what kids are going through. Like I got one that I'm writing now about a kid's guide to becoming a veterinarian. And it's everything a kid should know and what to do and what to prepare for to become a veterinarian.
That's awesome.
Stuff like that. But what I got out now is a kid's guide for dog ownership. And then I got a kid's guide for trick training. The trick training one is easy. It's about 10 wonderful tricks in there that a kid can learn and wow his friends and wow his parents in his school. And he can teach a dog how to sit up, how to spin, how to back up, how to bark on command, all these different commands. So, and it's a excellently illustrated book with good, clean pictures for them to walk through and learn how to trick train a dog. The other one is dog ownership. And that's an amazing book. And what happens is Mommy Bryant, I want a dog. I'm a dog. You're busy and you're like, no, I ain't got time for a dog, and I don't feel like taking care of it. Well, what if I can do it? Sure you are. Well, what this book will do, it'll teach the child everything they need to know about a dog. And at the end of the book, you have to take a test. After you have to pass the test. After you pass the test, there's a contract in the back of the book that you have to sign with your parents and the child. And the contract is, I will get up and take the dog out. I will feed the dog. I will care for the dog. I will groom the dog. I will keep vet appointments. You're totally responsible for the dog. And then so when you don't do it, your parents and then the parents post it on the wall of the door, and you just point to it. You let them know.
I love it. You know what? It's funny. My parents had us. We wrote essays to get a dog. Okay, but we had to write an essay. But still, we never did what we said we were going to do. And my mom had to do it. So, but I mean, that's awesome. Like I said, just make them accountable. You really want it, then you have to put in the work. But ultimately, to be honest with you, one of the parents are going to be taking the responsibility.
Oh yes.
Where can people find the books?
I need to put them. You can go to our website. It will be on the website. Or you can just email us directly, or email me directly at blakerashad@gmail.com, and I can send you one or both of those books, and you can see the books that are coming out as well.
Yeah, if you need any, I love to share anything as far as the road to becoming a veterinarian. I definitely love to share. I did some things that are a little bit different, but it helped me. My parents had me. I volunteered at a veterinary hospital at a young age. So, and just
how young?
I was probably around 12.
Wow, because I'm looking as I'm writing this book, I'm looking for that research, and it's tough. Well, one veterinary school is spread out. It's Tuskegee, is University of Georgia, and that's pretty much it for this region.
Yeah. You just got to find a veterinarian that's willing to share that information. Will be great. But most of these practices now are corporate owned. But either way, if you can find a veterinarian and go into their hospital and volunteer. Look, I was cleaning cages, scooping poop, and whatever. But I got to watch surgeries. I got to see procedures. So that's what I needed to do.
Well, it's hard for those kids to get we need a club. We need a organization of veterinarians who would say, I'll put together, these are people who can help children navigate to this career. And so they can, and maybe in the summertime having little camps, so that if you want to become a vet, they got a pilot. Now, if you want to be a pilot, you can start early. And they got these organizations that will come in and walk you through the whole process. We need that for veterinarians.
Okay. Well, I would love to be involved with it. You get it going. I definitely want to be involved. Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Throw that ball back.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Well, we thank you so much, Blake, for joining us. Everyone, if you want to learn more about Blake Rashad and his foundation and all the great work that he's doing with service dogs, please go to his site. As you can see there, it is Top Dog K9, dog is with 2Gs.org. You can also follow him on Instagram and Facebook. The difference between the two tags is for Facebook, it has foundation at the end, and for Instagram, it doesn't. But definitely follow him, learn more about him, reach out to him and ask him questions, and learn more about having service dogs.
And if you're looking for a great trained dog, let us know.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. And bow wow, everyone.
All right.
Wow. Bye.
Bye.
Let's see.
Got it.
I'm